What's up, everybody? Today we're talking about the Washington Spirit heading into the 2026 NWSL season. And to me, this is still one of the most interesting teams in the league, okay? Because I still think they are a contender, but I also think there's more questions than there was a year ago. Number one, they lost Croy Bethune, okay? And it looks like they're starting the season without Angela Kingsbury, who's out on maternity leave. And even with the talent still on this roster, that means things are a little less certain than before. So the question is simple. Are the Washington Spirit still good enough to win the NWSL title in 2026? And I think the answer is yes, but I also think the margin for error is much, much smaller. Okay. And first, let's be clear. Washington is not rebuilding. Okay. They're still a team that believes that its time is now. Okay. They locked up Trinity Rodman. That tells you everything, actually. I mean, basically the whole salary cap thing is out the window with a new way to keep your best players, which is great. Okay, it may be a problem later on. The club still sees itself as a team that's built to compete for trophies right now. All right, and honestly, that makes sense because when you look at it, okay, there is still a lot here. You still have Ashley Hatch is coming back from maternity leave. That's like a new player. She's a proven goal scorer, okay? You still have Gift Monday, one of my favorite young players in the entire league, and she's on the Spirit. Okay, you have Lacey Santos coming back. Andy Sullivan, again, like a new player, coming back from maternity leave at this point. Hal Hirschfeld, who is going to have a chip on her shoulder because of the way the final and the playoffs went down last year, which was totally not on her at all, that loss, and I heard people mumbling. Hirschfeld is invaluable to this team. Kate Wiesner, whose confidence just continues to grow with national team call-ups, etc. Tara Rudd, formerly Mickey Owen, still a solid answer in the center of the park back there for you in central defense. You've got Morgan and Carl still on the flanks of defense and wings. And, of course, now we have Sophia Cantore, who has a good half season under her belt, legs under her coming back in. And that's a serious team, okay, no question. And the newer attacking pieces, sort of Cantori is still new, but she's settled, okay? But she gives them another real attacking threat along with Hatch that's coming back. So you have 1.5 new players right there. Cantori has great movement. She's another player with quality, and she makes this team less dependent on Rodman to do everything, okay? And then, of course, the youngster they signed towards the end, Claudia Martinez, who's young, talented, unpredictable, kind of player who could give Washington another attacking option going forward that hasn't been seen before, okay? So if you're looking at this team on paper, there's still a lot here. There's still talent, there's still depth, there's still enough quality here to believe Washington can absolutely be there at the final in the playoff mix again. But then you get to the biggest loss, Croy Bethune. And why is this so big? Okay, it's massive. It's not just big, it is massive because Bethune gave this team something that's really hard to replace, and I'm not sure they have a player on the roster who's the same, okay? And that's creativity, real creativity, the kind that changes a game with one pass, okay? And that kid, it's not just the nice passing, okay? It's not just her tidy midfield play. I'm talking about a player who could literally unlock a defense with one single pass, penetrate with it, and you have a gift on a platter for your attackers to score, okay? It's hard to replace for any team, okay? And then you have Kingsbury, who has been a fixture in goal since 2018, I believe, for the Spirit. And she's not just a starter. She's a leader, okay? She's an anchor. She gives you calm. She gives you leadership. She gives you that experience. She gives you reliability in big moments. And to me, she is one of the best goalkeepers to not be consistently capped over and over because she is a wall back there. And when you lose that, even temporarily, okay, it matters a lot. And that's a little bit scary. And I know they signed a young keeper that they've loaned out to Washington Power that I don't think she can be recalled until the end of May. So they have 2 other keepers in the mix, but they do not have the experience of Kingsbury, okay? And that's a little bit scary without good goalkeeping, okay? Because Kingsbury steals you games that you maybe played poorly in and should have lost, and she gets you a point or sometimes the win because you managed to score one yourself. So the phrase I keep coming back to is less certainty, not less talent, just less certainty. So not less ambition, not less potential on this team, just less certainty. Because the ceiling is still very high for this team, okay? And, Bernal, who I hadn't mentioned, is part of the core, okay? Sorry for that. She's still a solid one, and she's been here a full year now. She signed in March last year. And she continued to get better and settle in as the season went on. So she's still going to be a factor. She could have a bigger impact than you were seeing last year. Okay, Rodman can still take over games. Her back is always going to be a question going forward, so they need to be less dependent on her. Okay, Tara Rudd still a major part of the back, of course, and Wiesner matters with her progression is just incredible. But really getting Hatch and Sullivan back is huge. Okay, so Kingsbury hurts your stability, and that might make the path to the playoffs a little bit tougher. Certainly the path to the overall best record, tougher because, like I said, she can steal games. So my overall read, though, is this. The Washington Spirit are still contenders in 2026. I think it's obviously a playoff team, all right? And I think this is a team that can absolutely still finish in the top four. And it's going to be thin margins either way between 1 and 4. Just this league is so competitive now, even with 2 new expansion teams, okay? Now, if Rodman can stay healthy, if Cantore can take up more of the slack, if Hatch is still the goal scorer she was before pregnancy, if Sullivan is still that rock that she was before pregnancy, okay, and Gift Monday continues to just get more confidence and more goals for you, but, the wild card being Claudia Martinez coming in, maybe getting you some points with assists and some more creativity, then this team can absolutely take number 1 if everything falls in line for them, okay? But I also think they're more vulnerable than they were before. Just, because names don't win you games, actions win you games. And without that solid goalkeeping, it might make everyone else a little less confident. And that's nothing against the people that are going to come in and try to replace her, okay? But just the vulnerability is going to be a problem. But the Spirit are dangerous, they're talented, and they still look like a team that nobody really wants to face, okay? And I certainly wouldn't want to draw them, okay? They just don't feel quite as secure as last year. So my final take is the Spirit are still real contenders for 2026. The ceiling's still high, championship level high. That's what they're aiming for. They expect a trophy for everything they're entering, okay? And the talent's still there. The path is just harder. And this season may come down to whether they can replace Bethune's creativity and whether the goalkeeping, is still the wall it was before. And honestly, that scares me. And we'll see very early on whether the Kingsbury factor is going to be, a bigger problem than people think. And, well, this is exactly what makes Washington one of the most compelling teams in the league so far this season. They're still dangerous. They're still talented, still a contender, but not a team without questions. But since they're my hometown team, I hope they win every game 5-0, right? So anyway, I'll see you with my next preview, which I think is Portland Thorns coming up a day or so after this one. You guys have a great day. We'll see you this season.